This is still Signature New Dawn, and we are here in the studio discussing genetically modified organisms and the future of food security, especially in Nigeria. And joining us to do justice to this very salient issue and unpack certain stories surrounding this very issue is Mr. or rather Dr. Rufus Ebegba. He is the former Director General of National Biosafety Management Agency. Dr. Ebegba, if you can hear us, you're welcome to New Day.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you doing this morning?
I'm okay.
Brilliant, brilliant. So very quickly, sir, could you let us know what exactly GMOs mean, to the layman that is listening or watching us? What exactly are GMOs?
Yes, GMOs are products of modern biotech. It's a scientific endeavor that has been able to improve living organisms, plants, animals, or microorganisms. What that means is a part. When you talk, let me talk about what is modern biotechnology first, because it's modern biotechnology that produces genetically modified organisms. This is derived from the fact that there are some breeding techniques that have been used over the years, have not been able to solve some problems, resolving problems, particularly in the agricultural sector. So the modern biotechnology has been able to resolve those problems. For instance, modifying the corn that has just been telomeres we've been talking about. There have been now pests that have been affecting these crops, these maize over the years. But through genetic engineering, these have been solved. That what simply means is that moving gene, that is material of inheritance, from another organism into another, and that organism that received the gene of interest is not genetically modified.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. There's been a lot of agitations against genetically modified organisms. Now, our question is, are these agitations, are they valid? Because there seem to be some safety and ethical concerns about, using or administering or consuming genetically modified organisms. Why are these concerns, and are they really valid?
You see, genetically modified organisms are products, I said, they are products intervention. These are products that they are crops or animals that have been, been altered in a way because it's a way of solving the problem associated with such a particular product. I talked about telomeres. These are not products that are made from chemicals. They are products that you use any living material from another organism into another to make genetically modified. I can tell you that genetically modified organisms are not intentionally brought in to cause any harm to human beings or to animals or to the environment. GMOs that have been released all over the world are safe for human consumption to the environment.
So if we can come in, I beg your pardon, if we can just hold that thought, sir. I have a question. Now, you said these organisms are safe for consumption. And you mentioned that these plants, animals, whatever products, that they have been manipulated, to a reasonable extent. Which goes to tell me that they are no longer organic, but synthetic. Now, when it comes to, for example, drugs, it goes through what they call clinical trials. Now, are they clinical trials? And is there data to support the fact that these organisms are actually safe for consumption? And I mean long-term, longitudinal trials to confirm that these organisms are actually safe for consumption.
Listen to me. What I've said is that these organisms, they are normal organisms. They are not synthetic. They are not inorganic. They are organic. When you say when you're talking about organic, what people tend to believe is that these crops are natural and they are not. Genetically modified organisms are natural organisms. I can tell you, even these crops that I'm talking about, let me say the difference between organic and inorganic crops you're talking about is that organic crops are those that the chemicals are not like fertilizers are not being used. You use manure for them, and also the control is as a result of using maybe plants and other things to also control insects. But genetically modified organisms can also be grown inorganic, can also be grown organically. GMOs are not synthetic materials. They are living things. I can tell you, let me give you an example. You can discover what makes sugarcane to be sweet. That is a gene. You can move it from sugarcane and put into bitter leaf, and the bitter leaf becomes as sweet as the sugarcane. So does that make the bitter leaf synthetic? It's not. GMOs are not being produced using using organic materials. They are produced using living system by adding one small thing into the organism to achieve what you want. And GMOs they have not come here to replace the conventional crops. They are intervention tools to solve problems that result to genetically modified organisms. Not that because GMOs have been brought in to replace what you have, they're not.
Okay,
and
sir.
There are parts. Let me tell you, there are data. I was, and before any GMOs of the organism of the plant or animal that has. And you must also have the same quality with the one that has not been engineered. So the issue of people assuming that GMOs are chemicals that are put together to come with organisms, it's not so. It is all fallacy and an attempt to. I can tell you there's a trade war. And I will tell you that when the question arises, we will respond.
Okay, sir. Dr. Rusuf, looking at these genetically modified organisms, my question here is, are there types of these GMOs? And what are their common examples? Like when you talk about types, like are there subfields of these GMOs and what are their common examples? That's one. Then are there health risks related to these genetically modified organisms?
Listen, all GMOs are not the same. They are produced for different reasons. There are those that are produced for insect resistance. There are those who are produced for herbicide tolerance, and there are also those that are produced to enhance nutritional quality. So people just think GMOs are all the same. It is the result of the problem you want to solve or what you want to achieve. And I can tell you, all GMOs, before they are released, they must do what's called the risk assessment is carried out. And this risk assessment encompasses whether these GMOs have toxins or they are allergenic in nature, or whether they can also affect the environment. All these are carried out, and these GMOs must be substantially equivalent to the ones that are not they are not GMOs, that are also the same counterpart. So GMOs are not produced because you just want to produce new products because they are new. No, as I said, for instance, the genetically modified teller. There is this fall armyworm that has been affecting the maize. And also, it's also produced to have drought tolerance. It is for the good of the crop. So people are coming out to say, and let me tell you why these controversies are there. One, those who are growing crops organically feel that with the production of GMOs, which are more or less, it's an advanced way of producing crops in a very fast and also with the same nutrient content. They come out with this language to feel, oh, these are not genetical, these are not organic, these are harmful. No. And I'm going to tell you that right now the world is talking about climate change. Chemicals that are being used, for instance, the control of pests. Like the teller maize, the quantity of spraying that is to control the pests, or they take up to 10 or more spraying spaces. But now you may not need to spray, and the crop will be able to protect itself. What does that mean? It means there will be less demand for chemicals. So agrochemical companies are some of the people giving money to some group of people who know the truth, but because of their personal interests, they keep on campaigning against what is right. So I can tell you GMOs, Nigeria has gone the right way by coming up with this technology to improve the crops that have some specific challenges. So GMOs have not come to actually replace every crop, but they will be labeled for consumer choice. And I can tell you GMOs are intervention products.
You are a former Director General of the National Biotechnology Management Agency.
Biosafety Management Agency.
Biosafety Management, I beg your pardon. If we recall, sometime in 2016, the National Inter-Religion Council called for a pullback on the GMOs based off of the fact that they feel that Nigeria is not ready for GMOs and we don't have the resources to be able to, manage and accommodate these products. What are your thoughts on their action?
Listen to me, young lady. Is Nigeria not right for science? Is Nigeria not right for technology? If anybody, see, GMOs are scientific material that people do not have knowledge coming to and make statement. Yes, there's no doubt. People will say, oh, they are playing God. There is no food or crop in this world right now that they are the way God made them. So if anybody told me to tell you Nigeria is not right to do science, Nigeria is not right to invest into biotechnology, these GMOs have been commercialized since 1996, 28 years ago. And in fact, it's becoming obsolete because the advanced form of it coming in, the issue of gene drive, gene editing, and so on and so forth. So let nobody come and tie the hands of Nigeria because they say Nigeria is not right. When will Nigeria be right? Nigeria is supposed to be one of the most advanced countries in the world. So science and technology, I can tell you, will continue to rule the world. And that is the only way Nigeria can really come out of these economic woes. So let nobody come on based on emotion or religious sentiment to say Nigeria is not right. Go into science, go into discovery. We are talking about artificial intelligence and so on that are coming up. Nigeria must move ahead. It is not about the number of people who say, yes, we are not, but is it the right thing to do?
All right, so what is the agency doing to educate Nigerians? Because obviously this is new to Nigerians, and as such, they will misunderstand the uses or the importance of GMOs. So is there any form of collaborations with other agencies, probably national orientation agencies, to see that Nigerians are empowered with the right information so they can accept GMOs as it is?
You see, what I think, Nigerians are more interested in sensational news. So I think people died, accident, Boko Haram, politicians are doing this. They are not, most Nigerians are not actually interested to do that, what they feel that what is normal.
So is that really an excuse not to educate Nigerians?
No, let me tell you. To me, what I'm telling you is that there are a lot of awareness activities going on. Even the National Biotechnology Research and Development Agency have what is called an open forum for biotechnology in Africa. They are doing a lot of enlightenment, and the agency has been doing a lot of enlightenment. And I will tell you, before any GMOs is released, there is a paid advert in 3 newspapers. And these are made known to the members of the public. And people are even called, come and make your comment, have any review, any issue on GMOs that are going to be released. And also the National Biosafety Management Agency, have been having what's called National Annual Biosafety Conference, and also media chats, media releases, and so on and so forth. It is a gradual process because most women don't know. But I can tell you one thing, the government is the only habitat for the people's safety and protection. Those who are fanning the amber of hatred for GMOs have their... Let us not hide away from that. They know the truth. They go to America and eat GMO and come to Nigeria and sit down and eat GMOs because they have some vested interest. And I think I'm not here to defend GMO, but I'm telling you that is the truth. And the National Biosafety Management Agency do not really promote it. But what has been done is the government has set up the agency to ensure that research institutes, National Biotech Development Agency, and the university system that are doing genetic engineering do the right thing so that these products are safe to them and human health. And that is the role of the agency. And the agency must also work in consonance with the interests of government on matters that we consider very important and also safe to the Nigerian people. The agency has not come in to stop GMOs, to make sure that they are safe. And that is what the agency is doing. And the people must understand that the government is like an, we'll call it an attorney on behalf of the people, doing what is right and protecting the interests of Nigerians and the people. The people must trust government and believe in what government has for them, rather listening to some individuals who are loud in thinking, who are loud in their presentation.
Okay, Dr. Rufus, we understand.
Nigeria will move ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. We understand that Nigeria is facing a whole lot of food insecurity. And how will you say that this GMO will help to build or rather promote global food security in Nigeria?
Well, now, I mean, I don't like talking about the importance of GMO, but I'm no more on speak. So I'm a free citizen. I can also, I know people will not say I'm promoting GMO, but I can tell you genetic engineering is a very elastic scientific tool that can really solve problems. And the issue of food security, I can tell you, GMOs can have very bumper results, harvest in a very small plot of land. And also use you use less money to produce GMOs on the farm because they are very potent in whatever they have been developed for. For instance, you spend less money buying chemicals. You also have making the crops have its full potential because when they are infested by pests or some diseases, they cannot attain their full potential. But when if they are genetically enhanced, they cannot attain their full potential. And I can tell you, advanced countries like US, Mexico, and some other countries have been able to solve their food security issues using genetic engineering. And Nigeria, if Nigeria has already embraced GMO, and I think it can help in ensuring there's food security, abundance of food, affordable food, and also farmers will become happier by getting good results with less amount of money in production, and also not being exposed to chemicals. There are quite a substantial amount of the benefit in the use of genetic engineering. And also there are products which are genetically modified organisms. Food security, if we can look at it for now, we can see the issue of banditry, the issue of kidnappers here and they actually hampered food production in Nigeria. Science and technology cannot be used the means to ensuring Nigerian food security is ensured and every Nigerian feeds affordably.
Right, Dr. Rufus. You have emphatically stated the benefits of GMOs, including increased crop yield, being cost effective, and reduced disease tendencies. However, there's this school of thought that I wouldn't want to ignore and I want to bring to your attention. It says that you cannot propagate life with GMOs. What I mean is, if you have a yield of genetically modified organisms, there is no life in the crop yield to plant towards the next season. Is there any truth to this, submission that the seeds to propagate for next seasons cannot be found in the crop? Therefore, you would have to depend on whatever biotechnology company that produce, the GMOs.
That is another fallacy. You see, yes, I'm with you. I say that is pure fallacy. The Food and Agriculture Organization has banned what is called terminator crops, which means all crops that are being grown, whatever you put, you can regrow them and regrow them. But the hybrid seeds, which are currently being used everywhere, have the same performance with GMOs in the area of regrowing them or replanting them. You can keep GM seeds and replant them. But the only thing is that over time you discover that the yield will keep on decreasing, just like the hybrid seeds. So it's only advisable that you go back to those who have produced them, because they keep on improving on those seeds, so that you can get better yield. And that is the same way that the current hybrid that are in the market, that's the way they perform. And if you look at the natural seeds, natural crops that were produced by God, man has worked on them. Even God said, take dominion over the earth. That is why you see, if you look at the ones that were created by God, there's a great difference. And God has given man that opportunity to use knowledge to improve on what he has said, you can do better things than I have done, according to Peter's plan. I don't want to bring it in religion because we're talking about science. But I can tell you, you can reproduce them, you can regrow them. But going back to those who have produced them, it's a matter of saying, if you have a better yield, you can go back. That does not mean your hands are tied to those people who have produced those seeds. The Nigerian government institutions have the ability to produce GMOs. You must not buy them from abroad.
Yes, Mr. Rufus, thank you so much. But there's still this issue of dependency, because even though you can plant the seeds, there's a decreasing yield, over time. Is there any way or system put in place to ameliorate this? Still talking about the issue of dependency to the biotechnology companies that make these GMOs.
I can tell you, the current seed system in Nigeria, all over the world, you must go back to the producers of the seed to have a better yield. But if you want to continue to grow those seeds, you can keep on growing them. But the only way to ensure it, because it's for you to have the interest of the farmer is for the farmer to have a better yield, to have better market value for his product. So if you are talking about you don't want to go back and buy the seed from them, you can keep on using. And as a matter of fact, you are not bound to use GMO. Nobody is going to be forced to use GMO. You may decide to use your conventional seed. You might decide to use your old seed. Nobody is going to force you. They are going to be labeled. And there are ways for you to grow these seeds without them affecting your own conventional seeds. What's called isolation distance, can also be time isolation, and so on. There are methods put in place to ensure that GMOs coexist with non-GMOs. It's a matter of understanding the issues. And I can tell you, stewardship that is being developed by the producer is to enable you to get the better result, or to ensure that these products are not wrongly adulterated. So I think there are a lot of measures that are already put in place. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Still on the GMO, you have been talking a lot about GMO. So how do we sustain our traditional agricultural practices?
Nobody has stopped anybody from practicing the so-called conventional agricultural practices. They all coexist. All these things are going hand in hand. Whatever is it's an alternative. It's an alternative. GMOs are alternative to problems that have been there. If you want to continue with your old problems, you can go ahead and continue with them. But I think every farmer will embrace what will make him or her have better yield or better income to live normal life like other Nigerians, or not continue to remain in poverty and penury. And the Nigerian government is also coming out with use of science and technology to ensure that the food value chain is improved. And Nigeria will not, our population is growing, so we must adopt technology and can enhance higher food production for food security. And also because if there is no food security in the country, there will be agitations. And people, the Nigerians cannot be held. Good food will enhance good health. Also happy people.
Yes, Mr. Rufus, you just alluded to the fact that if there is no food security, there will be agitations in Nigeria. That is valid. However, I still want to take you back to the manufacturers of the GMOs. How do you, in light of Nigeria moving towards self-sufficiency in food production, how do you think always having to go back to these manufacturers will impact on our food security and sufficiency in the long run?
The seed producers, as I said, you can use your old seeds. You can use your old seeds, or you can go back to buy from those who will enhance your higher productivity. And the system has been put in a place that there can never be inadequate seed when the seeds have been made available to farmers. You have the Nigerian Seed Council, Agricultural Seed Council. They are in charge of all seeds. We also have the Varietal Release Committee. They are in charge of all new inventions of crops or plants or animals that are being produced. Most have a special quality and existence. And again, there's no way the structure that is on ground that you will tell me that you must buy from a particular person. You may decide to use your host, and I say it, and they may also decide to use the seed that your forefathers have been using over the years. But those who want to have a better yield, a better income, and also nutritional food, we definitely go ahead with those things without stopping anybody from using what's GMOs are not going to be imposed on anybody. People are free to use GMOs or not to use GMOs. So they are just, as I said, they are intervention they are as a result of intervention in solving problems of agriculture, and they will continue to be there. How to now? Let me just tell you one thing. Right now, we don't have big GMOs in commercial quantity in Nigerian market. In Nigeria, is the agricultural sector not moving on? These problems have been there. Like for instance, genetically modified cowpea beans, which has been there. They have been losing almost 70% on the field. That's why you see Nigeria is also importing beans. Nigeria is supposed to be one of the greatest world producer of beans. But unfortunately, because of the disease, Nigeria have not been able to get its full potential, has to also import to meet the domestic demand. So if Nigeria now has a solution, are you going to tell me that I'm going to continue to grow my forefathers' seed? Well, there are many questions. You have not even asked me the question about cancer. I'm waiting for your question on that.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. Okay, talking about substantial farmers, how do these GMO also bring in the substantial farmers? Because we keep depending on the manufacturers, we keep depending on the technology and the rest. So how do we actually sensitize these farmers to also produce using the GMOs? Because there are a lot of benefits. We see the pesticides being resistant to pesticides and the rest. But how do we bring in these farmers too? Because into the system of the GMO system.
You see, the farmers are the ultimate beneficiary, and the Nigerian people and the citizens, because they are going to have enough food to eat. For the farmers, I can tell you, they are the ones even demanding for this products of modern biotechnology to enhance them, because they are really suffering. And I can tell you that the Federal Ministry of Agriculture has a means of enlightening the farmers, informing the farmers how to get these seeds. And one other thing you should also know is that the farmers are also being taught how to multiply the seeds. So it's not something that you are going to hide away from the farmers, because they need it, and they are the ones that need the prosperity in that. So there are many avenues already being put in place. The farmers to get informed about the seeds, about the production, and all that. Right now, even the ones that have been producing, like as I told you, they are not already in the market. They are in the hands of some few farmers that are trying to multiply them. And so the farmers are going to be involved. And it's not something that it's not a secret. The contents are very new. And you can really analyze what GMOs do. They are not manufactured from chemicals. It's the same crop you have. You only just add a gene that is material of inheritance from another organism, which cannot really happen under natural conditions. But you can use genetic engineering to move that gene. When you talk about gene, that is material that, for instance, you as a lady, what makes you to be light in complexion? There's a gene, there's a material that's controlling it. So if that material you can be sequenced from you and put into another woman, you'll produce a woman that looks like you.
All right, Mr. Rufus, Dr. Rufus, rather, thank you so much for that explanation. However, you mentioned that Nigeria has been in romance, for lack of a better word, with GMOs since the 90s, 1996 to be precise. So my question to you now is, are these products in the Nigerian market currently? And if they are, how can a consumer identify products that are genetically modified and those that are not? Hello. Okay, so we just lost Dr. Rufus, and we'll have him back once he gets back online. So we will go ahead with newspaper reviews and headlines. Yeah, Chinemerem, we were on, yes, the Sunday Times. The Sunday Times, right below the mast, you have NBA elections President Tinubu has no preferred candidate coming from the AGF.
Okay, still below the marks, we have insecurity. Kaduna residents opt for street side gardens as bandits overrun farmlands.
Still on the Sunday Times, Edo fraud allegations. Furore over multi-billion naira contracts for shopping mall. Radisson Hotel complex with a rider. Fingered government officials deny invitation by EFCC.
Okay, moving over to Sunday Punch. We have, right above the marks, we have vehicle owners to pay for on-street parking. Vehicle owners to pay for on-street parking. Lagos written church mosques.
Okay, so before we go ahead with the headlines, we've had information that our guest is back online. Dr. Rufus, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you now. There was a
welcome back, sir.
Interruption. You asked a question.
Yes, I did.
Nigeria has been romancing with GMOs since 1996. Nigeria
yes,
does not romance with anybody. But
okay.
Nigeria has its capacity to do what it wants to do. What I said was that in 1996 was when the first commercialized GMO was released into the market, in the market. The ones who have approved Chela maize, genetically modified cowpea, and cotton, they are not even in abundance in the market right now. They are being produced, being multiplied, so that farmers will have enough of them. So if anybody is telling you that Nigerians are eating GMOs, buying GMOs in the market, and it is all fallacy. But I know that there are some genetically modified food materials that are in superstores, and they are labeled, they contain genetically modified ingredients or genetically modified. So those products, they are labeled, and they have been checked for food safety. They are safe. So, and again, all GMOs will be labeled for consumer choice. Labeling does not mean to ascertain whether it's safe or not to safe. All GMOs that are approved all over the world, particularly in Nigeria, they are safe for human consumption, and also they cannot have any negative impact on the environment. So all those hula baloo about GMOs, I can tell you, they are all made believe because of some personal interest. People just want to cause panic in the system. Nigerians do not need to panic. 8 years I was a director general. I set the table, the agenda, and I know all the GMOs that have been approved as commercial level so far were during my term as the director general. I owe Nigerians the responsibility to give them the best. I cannot betray my country. And this government, it is government operations. The Nigerian government is looking for solutions. Nigeria is not looking for problems for its citizens. Nigerians must learn to trust the government institutions and agencies, no matter what anybody says about them. Nigeria has some of the best standards. And I tell you, the biosafety system in Nigeria is one of the best in Africa, if not the best. Other countries from other African countries come to model our system, our documents, and so on and so forth. The Nigerian system will guarantee, will ensure that GMOs are safe for their release.
Okay, so how do we tackle the health issues that comes with GMO? Because there are issues of resistance to antibiotics. Some studies also trace the issue of cancer to GMO, the consumption or usage of GMO products. So how do we tackle this issue?
You see, the issue of antibiotics. When GMOs are being produced, they use certain antibiotics to test whether these products have the gene that has been embedded in them. And at the end of the test, that antibiotic is eliminated from the product. It does not contain the final product. So anybody is telling you antibiotics resistance and all this, is not there. It is not. It's found to be true. And every GMO, what are the things you look at when you produce GMO? You look what's called risk assessment, and this risk assessment look at the issue of food safety, That's when you're looking at food safety, you're looking at the toxicity. We do toxicity tests, allergenicity tests. These are the major things that are needed in biosafety. We also check. You also ensure that these GMOs has the same, they have the same content with the ones that are not genetically modified, apart from the gene of insert. And this gene of insert has history of safety over the years. And again, so if anybody is telling you that, oh, GMOs, they are not chemical, they are not products of chemicals. And also, the GMO, whether it can produce cancer or not, cancer has been existent over the years, donkey years. So nobody should link it with GMOs. People have been dying over there and they link them to witchcraft and others. Some of them as a result of cancer. GMO, and again, the World Health Organization, I've said it several, I read their platform, they will tell you, approved GMOs are safe. Food and Agricultural Organization will also tell you the same. And people talk about EU, America, the European Union, they don't. They consume, they buy these products and consume them substantially. They use them in the production of feed, they use them in confectionaries and other food ingredients. So let not body should tell you that, oh, these products are causing this. No, they have nothing to do with cancer. It has nothing to do with anything. They one other thing we look at, we use the language substantial equivalence with genetically modified organisms and non-genetically modified. When people talk about organisms, maybe they read it from something else. When you're talking about organisms are living things, plants, animals, or microorganisms. That is what organisms do. Whether it's genetically modified or not, they are all organisms, as long as they are living. So
okay. Hello, can you hear me? Before we move into the environmental impacts of these GMOs, I want to know, are there nutritional values to this GMO?
You see, all GMOs, as I said, it is what you want the GMOs to become that you put into it. If you want the GMO to have increased vitamin A or protein, you look for where you can get a gene that can give the GMO that quality, and you put it to the GMO, and the GMO will produce that for you. So it will have nutritional value. So if you, and again, the GMOs have the same quality with the one that is not genetically modified, apart from the material you have added into it to give you a particular result. That is one thing that that GMOs, all GMOs are not the same. If you produce them for insect resistance, it will not add any nutrient to it. It will contain its natural nutrient. If you add protein gene into it, it will give you higher protein than its conventional counterpart. So the issue of nutritional value determines if you want it to have nutrient. If you want it to serve as insect resistance or disease resistance, it will give you that result. It will not give you additional nutrient. It will remain just in the other counterpart of the product is.
All right, Dr. Rufus. Very quickly, during your time as the DG of a National Biosafety Management Agency, was there a board, an instituted board that assumed oversight functions on the agency? And if there is, are farmers and consumers, the Nigerian consumers, well represented in this board?
You see, when you talk about the issue of the GMOs, they are not, especially not meant for only farmers, as I said, but farmers are major beneficiaries. That is what is being used. GMOs can be produced for environmental issues, pharmaceutical issues, industrial raw materials, and so on and so forth. The board, yes, there's a board, and the board, it is not an executive board. The board basically is for it to look at the issue of administration, the issue of good management. The board does not have any oversight on the technical or scientific aspect of it. The board is to make sure that what the agency has been established to do, it does it. So the issue of looking at whether who is a member of the board, I can tell you, you have the NGOs as members of the board. You also have the government institutions and other line as members of the board. And apart from that, during the review of biosafety applications, the farmers are also called in to look at the applications to see whether these GMOs will meet their demand, they meet their needs and others. So farmers are always, all farmers associations, they are always, which is the major aspect of it, the technical and we call it National Biosafety Committee. The farmers are always there. And also the producers are always there. government relevant agencies, Ministry of Agriculture, Health, NAFDAC, Standard Organization of Nigeria, and so on. They are large, about 15 member National Biosafety Committee, which is the major body that advises the agency on any product to be approved or not to be approved.
All right, Dr. Rufus, very quickly, because we know that there are always two sides to every coin. For every product, there are the advantages and then there are the side effects. What exactly is the mandate of your agency in regulating GMOs in Nigeria?
The mandate of the agency is to ensure that genetic engineering is applied safely and the products are also safe to the environment and human health, and to approve or not to approve what the agency considers otherwise. Those are just the major things to ensure that GMOs are safe, to ensure that genetic engineering is applied safely. And when you look at the issue of whether I don't know if you want to know whether they are safe aspect of GMOs or not safe. The issues of biosafety is to ensure that there are no harmful effects in the application of modern biotechnology and its products, which are GMOs. Biosafety is to make sure that these products are safe. So biosafety will not allow any product that is not safe to be approved. And when you talk about what are the things that we consider that are not safe in biosafety, it should not cause thousands when you consume it. It should not cause allergy when you consume it. And what else? They must not also have negative impact on the environment. They may not become invasive and become over dominant, displacing every other thing in the forest. They must not also have unintended effects on non-target organisms. For instance, if you produce GMO that particular insect to particular insect, it must not kill other insects. That is, biodiversity must not be negatively affected. So, and also these products must also have economic value. You cannot produce GMOs that are costlier than what will give you benefit at the end you produce. You must also come up with a GMO that will not produce results. And we also ensure that nobody will pretend to say this is GMO because you have an advantage over others. So that you will not dupe people because you say GMO that contains vitamin A, and meanwhile it doesn't have it. Let's take function.
Okay, so just before we round up with you. Okay, before we round up with you, are there economic benefits to these GMOs, like both the agricultural impact, the medical side of it, the environmental side? Are there economic benefits to these GMOs generally?
Apart from looking at the risk aspect of it, if it doesn't have any risk, we must also check whether does it have socio-economic impact. For instance, does it have a negative impact on our social values? Does it have negative impact and does it have economic benefit? The product must have a benefit. For instance, the genetically modified cowpea beans we're talking about, it has almost 30% advantage over the conventional one. So they must have a benefit. And apart from that, the GMOs can also be produced for health reasons, like the insulin. In those days, those who have diabetes, you maybe kill about 10 or more pigs before you can get insulin. But now insulin has been engineered in a way into bacterium to be used, and it's not being used. And you cannot buy insulin in the market. Insulin is a genetically modified product. And also, some of the most potent drugs you have in the medical field, they are also products of genetic engineering. On the environment, you can genetically enhance a particular bacteria or bacterium or some bacteria to mop up oil spills in the oil producing area. They can also biodegrade materials, plastics, and others. In fact, the genetic engineering is very elastic. It's a very wonderful technology that can be applied with, but science, you must do that research. It's not, and again, it's not something you just come up with. It takes you up to 11, 13 years before you can come up with any product of genetic engineering that is safe. So these things are not things that people just sit down and come out and say, oh, GMOs are this. You'll be reading paper. Am I reading paper that I'm talking to you? For those who will tell you that they are not safe, they are killing people. Have you seen anybody that have died because they ate GMO? They should produce such evidence. So let's not mislead Nigerians. Nigerian government, the Nigerian system will be run through science and technology, and that is what modern technology. Modern wars are being run by advanced technologies. Nigeria can only, our population is growing. How do we ensure that this is sustained? Do you have a farm yourself, young lady? Do you want to grow the crop your father grew in 1945 or 1990? Please, Nigerian farmers should live better life than they.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Rufus. And we will want to go on and on this with you, but we don't really have time on our side. So thank you very much, sir. Thank you for joining this show. And for now, we'll be calling in for a short break. And when we are back, we'll be going for our signature recipe. Please stay tuned.
So I'm done, huh? Thank you.